TikTok, it's time to rock. Welcome to the channel, folks. Welcome to a special edition, Brad and Simon on the channel. Unfortunately, now and again, our channel gets put into a position where we've got to bump a show, Brad and Simon, for something that's of a current affair. And Brad, you know, I'm glad actually that we managed to sort of bump the tribute show for Ozzy that we're going to do now for you, because we were going to do it on the day that we heard the news, Simon, you know, that Ozzy had passed away, and, you know, it just wouldn't work well. We couldn't have done a tribute show, Simon, without having Brad, the backdoor man, on. So, you know, thank you for reminding us of that. And it's just given me personally a couple of days to get my thoughts together over the news. But folks, we're not ranking the soft parade on this show. We're going to be doing that next week. But we're going to be talking about Ozzy Osbourne, one of the greatest rock and roll rock singers in the history of music, Simon and Brad. So I look forward to sharing some time with you guys on that.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew, and Simon and Andrew. Thank you both for, you know, allowing us to bump it, because I think it's given me a few days, like you said, Andrew, to process it all and, you know, work out my thoughts and everything to discuss properly, instead of doing it on the day we all found out. I don't know whether I was quite ready to do it, Andrew and Simon, a show. So in, you know, hindsight, looking back, I mean, it's, you know, Ozzy being like the godfather of heavy metal, let's be honest, one of the innovators. You know, I don't want to take up too much time right at this point in time, because I want to share it around. But so Simon, you managed to go and see Sabbath, I believe, back in the day, and you know, I want to sort of turn it over to you before I give my thoughts. But that would have been one hell of an experience, being able to visualize Sabbath in their prime. I've seen Sabbath. I have seen Black Sabbath, you know, in the 2000s.
Oh, look
who it is.
Look at the troublemaker himself. We've got him out of
Mozzie.
bed. We've got him
got
dressed. Mozzie and Ozzy. Even if he has got the craziest hat in Christendom on, it must be winter. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning to you. I just realised Brad was talking about a concert, so I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're all going to have a turn, but you're good to see you, bro. Thanks for popping on. Brad,
Yeah.
Brad, isn't Carl polite?
I'm sorry, Andrew, what was that?
Isn't Carl polite?
I missed it.
He said, isn't Carl polite?
Oh, he's very polite. Thanks, Carl.
Look at that. This is what you call getting the band back together, for sure.
Back to the beginning.
We've got the original drummer back.
Oh, yeah. It's surreal, wasn't it?
Oh, dear. Anyway, so, yeah. How are you, Carl? Are you good? All good in your world?
Can you hear me on your end?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. Yep. Are we just going around the clock, around the circle, are we?
Yeah. I was gonna kick off because we've got Johnny Heartbreaker in the chat, and Ellen. Good morning, both. 54 Mac Dog. Good morning, 54 Mac Dog. So, morning, everyone. Hope we're all good. As Brad was saying, I'm sure I have mentioned on the channel before, but it's absolutely sad. The Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath was the second concert I ever went to. It's the The first one is filled with ignominy. You'll be pleased to know, Carl. The first one was Gary Glitter. So, yes, I know. Yeah, I know.
What a
Doesn't
contrast.
go well. So, well, you're given free tickets in your wherever I am.
Who was the promoter? He needs to be sacked.
Well, yeah, but it was in 1973 or whatever. Yeah, 1973. It's kind of, he was just this mad bloke who dressed up in baker foil, and pranced around the stage with motorbikes. It wasn't. There wasn't any more to it than that, to be honest. But yes, so that's something. But the second concert I went to was with my friend Tony Bainbridge was to go and see Black Sabbath at the Colston Hall. Changed my life forever. Ruined me forever. Well, because the Gary Glitter thing, as I say, was really because my friend Andy Price had got a ticket and couldn't go, and he said to me, "Do you want to go?" And I thought, well, why not? Don't say no, do you? Whereas Sabbath, Tony and I both liked Sabbath. We had Volume 4 and we had Masters of Reality, and we bought the albums, and therefore, this was the first time we'd made a choice to go and see a band, because the first time we got the albums, now we're going to go and see them live. The excitement for the 75p that it costs to go to actually see them live. But and I do have some clear memories of Ozzy jumping around on the stage. No great no great dancer, Ozzy. Let's be fair. But he could jump up and down with his horns thing, and he could do that and whip the crowd into a frenzy, and it was amazing. And that sound, the sound that they had was also incredible as well. And
I was thinking about them the other day. I mean, a bit like the Thunderbirds or Hendrix, even Brad's band. They're a three-piece with a dynamic frontman. And the sound that these guys get out of three guys, and they're heavily influenced, obviously, by Cream, but that's just another conversation in itself. Just how good they were and how powerful they were.
Yeah, no, true.
Those records from '69, obviously, that they talked about that lost chord, which the Catholic Church banned, but they're as timeless or as relevant today as they are 50 years ago. It's just, Into the Void, 1971, Master Reality. That's the start of doom metal. It's just the impact these people had, unbelievable.
Indeed, and especially then, as you've said, Carl, that what is it, the fourth down or whatever it is, banned by the Catholic Church. That interval. That they did on the first track on their first album.
Well, I ran across an old Geezer Butler
Fantastic.
interview. He was trying to copy the was it a movie or a TV series, Going to Mars, or a symphony? I'll find it later. But he was trying to copy a orchestral piece, and then Tony added that lost chord, and that's how Black Sabbath got birthed, that particular song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, because then nobody else was doing it. Then it was the sound was unique, and and the way that they did it was unique as well. And I think it's difficult these days in the days of homogenized sound, and there's that kind of all metal bands sound the same pretty much because they all use the same Mesa Boogie plugins and whatever it is. And if any of you watch Glenn Fricker, he spends his life talking about how it's all that the plugins and the amps and the guitar, they all sound the same. All metal guitars sound the same. And if you want classic metal tones, that you're not going for the Sabbath thing at all. You're going for these much more kind of compressed, very heavy guitars. And I think one of the other things I'd say about the sound is that it isn't that heavy. It has an atmosphere, and that interval gives it the heaviness. But in terms of distortion or whatever, it's not really distorted. It's just
overdrive.
It's overdrive, yeah. And because there's only three instruments, you have quite a lot of space to fill up.
If you were to slow down War Pigs, it's basically a blues rhythm. That's a big part of their sound is heavy blues.
Yeah. And I spent some time, I'm listening to, because really my history with Sabbath is within the early albums when Ozzy was with them, the first 5 albums. Yeah. And then, because, it's like if you go on Spotify and you listen to a record, it then goes to other places and puts on other stuff, and it started playing more modern things and you notice the guitars are like compressed, like really compressed, really, really distorted. You go, I can see the line, but it isn't anything like really the sound that Black Sabbath were getting on their records. It just isn't, maybe later on, but Brad, you can maybe speak better at this than I can, but those first few records, you listen, the thing about them is, they have that doom and that kind of Sturm und Drang sound, and that the sound of the Midlands, the steel making Midlands in their DNA.
Fairies Wear Boots, the breakdown of that song.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's real lean, it's muscular, it's strong, and when you listen to the interviews, they call them Brummies. Is that right, Simon? Brummies?
Brummies, yeah. Brummies.
That's just pivotal of their background in an industrial town. They're just basically emulating what they heard and seen and sounded like. And they're blue collar too. I mean, Tony Iommi talked about these little gangs that roam the streets, and they wanted to get the hell out of that town.
That's right.
They knew nothing about peace and love and Woodstock.
No. If you said the wrong thing, if you looked the wrong way, you were beaten up in those places, mate. They were tough places, Simon.
And there's a town next to Birmingham. I knew this guy. He lives in Hamilton. He's from Birmingham. Is it called Blacktown?
Yeah.
Simon?
Not Blacktown. No. Well, I mean Wolverhampton. Where else? Birmingham. Blackburn. Was it Blackburn? That's in Lancashire, but
okay. Well, there
may be a part of Birmingham called Blacktown.
Black and sooty.
Yeah, well, yeah, it all was then, but in the those the big towers, belching out the smoke of the Industrial Revolution, was still very much in evidence then, with the railways and to things, but. Yeah, but I think as I say, it's worth saying that what their sound was the heaviness came from not just a massively distorted sound really, because they didn't have it, didn't have much in the way of pedals and things. I think he might have used a bit of a fuzz pedal, but pretty much is SG into a laney and off you go, mate. Just turn it up. In what then was the grand tradition, wasn't it? I mean, everywhere we go to Clapton and we go to the Blues Breaker, and how do you do that? We get a Les Paul, humbuckers, and you turn the beast up, see what happens.
Turn it up and tune it down a fraction because my hands have been my fingertips have been cut off.
Yeah.
And
he changed the strings too, didn't he? Light strings as well.
Yeah. But yes, the down tuning as well, of course, was very important.
Check out that California Jam, 1974. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So, Brad, what are your? Go on, tell us your.
Well, I mean, look, Ozzy. I mean, we all know everybody, in rock and metal, in the rock metal scene knows who John Michael Osborne is. Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, as we've been discussing, was born and bred in Birmingham, England. Working class family. He was obsessed with the Beatles. I think that came through in all of his melodies of his songs. I know he collaborated with lyricists and whatnot, solo career and through Sabbath as well. But he did write a lot of lyrics. He used to write a lot of handwritten lyrics, through his teen years. He would write stuff. He even wrote on the premises on the wall of where he lived as a kid. I think it was Iron Void or something like that as a band name he thought of that was pretty cool. He was, I don't know, like for me, I've always thought of him as the godfather of rock and metal, and he's became iconic throughout the 70s with Black Sabbath. But not only that, he had a thriving solo career, which teamed up obviously with Randy Rhoads. I think his solo career was massive. Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, songs like Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, I Don't Know. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on there. Obviously, he got sacked from, Black Sabbath, rightfully or wrongfully, for, drug and alcohol abuse. I mean, I think the whole band were using drugs and alcohol at that point. I think it was just a sore point with Ozzy. I know he wanted to do a solo thing. I think he had the idea from his father. Blizzard of Oz was a name that his father came up with for a solo career. And I think he wanted to do that in about 78. But the band kept saying to him, well, why would you want to do a solo career? You're a singer of Black Sabbath, or whatever they said. And they sort of dragged him along for a little bit longer. But, behind the scenes, obviously, once his solo career started, I mean, Sharon Osbourne was a big, driving force behind his comeback, successfully launching Ozfest in the 90s, the mid-90s. It was obviously a very tight-knit family, although some of the family members didn't want to be part of that MTV's Osbournes show, which was quite hilarious. But his life was marked with extremely highs and some serious setbacks as well. I think it was 2003, he was involved in a near fatal ATV crash, requiring spinal surgery. I mean, I know he struggled with early onset, or they called it a hereditary Parkinson's, from about 2003. And in 2020, he came clean saying he's got Parkinson's disease, but he definitely had it from the early 2000s. You can see it quite clearly in the show. He's shuddering with his hands and whatnot of the Osbournes. But I think a fitting, thing for Ozzy that kept him going was to do that farewell performance in this year. I mean, a recent interview with Tony Iommi a day or two after Ozzy's passing, he said, I think that's what kept Ozzy going for a few years. He wanted to get back and say farewell to his fans, because his fans meant the world to him, more so than probably any other artist. He loved his fans and wanted to keep creating for them, and it kept him coming back, even though he would complain about touring non-stop. Then when he'd get off tour, he just wanted to get back out and see, and tour and see his fans. So he was a big advocate for support. He loved his fans and wanted to continue that support. But if you look at it success-wise, like what Ozzy, was managed to achieve over his career, I mean, he sold over 100 million albums worldwide with his solo work in Black Sabbath. He was being inducted into the Hall of Fame for Black Sabbath in 2006, and again last year, 2024, as a solo artist. It's in the UK Music Hall of Fame. He's got his star on Hollywood. Birmingham Walk of Stars. He's also got that iconic artwork that was done just recently this year. I mean, he had that survivor mentality throughout his whole career. He just wanted to keep going, and regardless of setbacks or whatever, he just pushed forward. I mean, think of the setbacks he's had, from losing Randy Rhoads, being sacked from Black Sabbath, everything basically. When you think about a young guy who, he posted a handwritten ad in a music store looking to join a band, that connected him with Tony, Geezer, and Bill to form Black Sabbath, to, his whole career. I mean, they didn't call him the Prince of Darkness, no reason. You know what I mean? He was a pioneer, though, and let's be honest, he became a cultural icon throughout the 2000s as well, with the success of the MTV stuff. Let's be honest, from a kid with a dream, in Birmingham to global legend. It's a story of brilliance and chaos and family and the power of never really giving up, guys. I mean, God bless Ozzy Osbourne. That's all I've got to say. I'll hand it over to you guys.
Yeah, just a side note. Yes, Tony, thank you. Of course, the area of Birmingham, Wolverhampton is known as the Black Country. Black Country.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what it is. So thanks, Tony. Yes, my mind is going blank as usual. But, yeah.
Hi, Tony.
Andrew, have a.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and thanks, Carl, for jumping on. I'm going to make mine quick because I just want to pass it on to Carl, especially because I know that Carl is a huge Black Sabbath fan. There's a couple of things that I'd like to talk about. Obviously, the first time ever, and when I was thinking about it a couple of days ago, the album came out in 1970, and I was listening to it in 1981. And I'll never forget, there's a couple of albums in your life, guys, that you'll always remember. But listening to Black Sabbath, the first album, Black Sabbath, and hearing all this, these things about it from a couple of guys, and then finally listening to that Black Sabbath, the crackle of that track, Brad, it opens up with the rain, and then it's just, wow, it's incredible. And it was only 11 years, just over 10 years, Simon, from, when I first listened to it, from when it was released. And it's interesting from that perspective when we were talking about that with some of our friends in 1981. And I know, Carl, you'll understand this because you and I have spoken about this many times over the years. It was considered old hat. It was, how you're listening to an album from 1970, what are you talking about, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget listening to that first album and then, becoming clearly a fan and then traveling down that road of listening to all the other albums, Volume 4, Never Say Die, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It's just, the whole lot. And then obviously following Brad, as you correctly pointed out, his career afterwards. But I'll admit I wasn't paying much attention to his solo career stuff, Simon and Brad. It was there, in the background, but I wasn't paying. I'm pretty sure I was always putting on a Black Sabbath album, as opposed to some of Ozzy's solo stuff. But I'm glad, Brad, also you mentioned his TV series, because my God, it was hilarious. Watching that on TV, and it used to come on a Thursday night, and I used to be half pissed, back in the day, and sitting back watching the Osbournes. It was hilarious, and it wasn't scripted. I'm sure, a lot of it wasn't scripted. Not with Ozzy, anyway. You couldn't script Ozzy. I don't. What do you reckon, Mozzie? You can't script Ozzy, can you? He can't be scripted.
No.
Well, the sequel reality shows they film hours and hours of footage and load them up with alcoholic beverages and edit the best parts. But when Ozzy swears, that's a psychological phenomenon that when people swear, they're being absolutely honest. And it's something that they can't take away from Ozzy. He was very blunt and very honest. And it came out as foul language, but you knew where you stood. And I guess that's why him and Sharon got on well, because she was cut from the same cloth.
Sure.
But,
Daughter of Don Arden, of course, the famous manager of many a band from the Midlands in the 60s. Yeah.
Sort of gangster.
Don Arden, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Of course, Peter Grant used to work for Don Arden before he started working with Led Zeppelin.
Heavy hand.
Yeah.
She would have seen a few guys get their kneecaps knocked with hammers, I'm sure, over the years.
and hung out of the second floor window.
Well, it was a bit of a conflict of interest because they kept talking about this manager ripping them off, and then the manager's daughter marries the singer that was complaining about the manager ripping them off.
Life's like that, Carl. Life is just like that, you know. It's perfectly encapsulated.
Yeah, but apparently they had a bit of a what's it called, a rift between the two, the father and the daughter.
Oh yeah,
quite possibly, yeah. But just Carl, just going back to the Osmonds. I mean, I just saw a clip from it the other day, going around the clips, and it just when Ozzy Osbourne goes, "Sharon, what's this? I don't know what this is. Don't you know I'm the Prince of fucking Darkness?" So it's like anyone sounding less like the Prince of Darkness. It's Ozzy Osbourne with a Birmingham accent.
I know.
It's like if you think so, anybody back in the day, and there was a bit of a furor around there for oh yeah, satanic, really satanic. I'm the Prince of.
I'm the Prince of fucking Darkness. Hey,
it's just that accent just makes it just sound hilarious. It's like, yeah, right, yes, horns and a tail, Ozzy. I don't think so.
Hey, Ozzy loved it though. Ozzy loved doing that.
Brilliant. Yeah.
He loved doing that TV series. You know, there's so many interviews, Brad, that he's made after it. You know, and people were saying, "What do you think?" And he loved it. He thought it was great.
Well, it was just him, wasn't it? He couldn't.
At the time,
he couldn't do anything else.
At the time, I don't think he was too keen on doing it at the time, though. I know when they put the idea to him, he was against it, but Sharon pushed for it, obviously. So usually Sharon was the driving force there to push these sort of things to, reinvigorate his career and whatnot. So yeah, we wouldn't have got that without Sharon. Yeah, but we wouldn't have got that without Sharon. We wouldn't have got that Osbourne show without her, because Ozzy would have not have done it. Because he was, like you said, she put Bubbles after the fireworks, and he goes, "Bubbles, I'm the Prince of effing Darkness." Bubbles.
That was it. Bubbles. That's it. Bubbles.
And you can see Zach Wild in the background slapping his knee, laughing. Some wonderful moments captured there. You can just imagine the chaos that surrounded Ozzy's life. That one scene where he comes out and goes, "There's a beer thief in my room," and she goes, "I think the beer thief's you."
Yeah. I was going to mention that. That's funny. Her voice sounds so comical.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Disney character.
I know. That's the funny bit about the Osmonds, isn't it? That they're all a bit more that kind of reality TV. But Ozzy Osbourne is just, you can't take the man out of. You can take the man out of Birmingham, but you can't take the Birmingham out of the man. And he's just some bloke from Birmingham who's sort of, struck lucky, but it's still just, he through his eyes, it's some bloke from Birmingham who used to work in a factory. It's just, and that's what makes it priceless. Is that, as you said earlier, Andrew, you couldn't script it because. You couldn't. It's just the way he saw the world, and he just came out naturally. Well,
he's a bit like Keith Moon. He just had that loon aspect. Because clearly, when you look at Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi's the architect. He's the alpha male behind the scenes. So he mentioned they all did drugs, they all drank, but Ozzy did more. A bit like Keith Richards with the Stones. Keith said, "We all drank, we all did drugs," so did Mick Jagger, but Brian Jones didn't show up to the sessions. And I think that's what happened with Ozzy in about 78. He went missing for a couple of weeks on a drug binge. So just, but what I like about Ozzy, and Brad mentioned this, is the strength and the character of his being. A dyslexic, from a tough town, lead singer of a band that was, brought a heavier style of music that no one's heard of, and he couldn't believe that they were in the charts. He was just happy to be gigging around town, and then it exploded. And then in 78, when he got fired, he spent about 2 years just locked up in a motel in LA, I think, and Sharon got him out of the doldrums, and as Brad said, had a fantastic solo career. And not to mention, not only all the guitarists that went through that band, the J. Key Lee, the Randy Rhoads, obviously now Zach Wild. There's about 3 or 4 others, but that Ozfest highlighted and exposed a lot of bands worldwide.
Yeah. Well, he was all about giving young bands opportunity as well. So that was part of the reason why Ozfest was created. Obviously, there was a bit of this involved, a bit of cash.
Correct. Yeah.
But
like Lollapalooza.
Gave him the opportunity to perform at his own festival instead of dealing with promoters probably as well. But secondly, Sharon, being the businesswoman that she was, decided let's make a big thing out of it. But Oz was always about supporting younger acts, taking them out on tour with him. Motley Crue, Metallica, all those bands. Gave them
the amount of Facebook tributes from various musicians around the world and people crying is unbelievable. The bass player from Funkadelic loved him. Public Enemy, the rap group, loved him. He it wasn't just rock lovers; he was loved everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think Oz was more than just a. When it comes down to it, more than just a what do you call it? He became an icon. He was more than just a heavy metal singer, and I don't think the guys in Black Sabbath actually liked the term heavy metal at the time. No. I think they were dead against it, but just got thrown onto them and they got labelled with it. Became, I guess, a brand. Black Sabbath created a brand of like country music. There's heavy metal, and it became there's lots of sub genres of heavy metal. There's doom, there's hard rock, there's thrash, there's all sorts of metal.
Stoner.
I was scared to listen to them in my teens because of all the hype around the satanic imagery. Then I stumbled upon a cassette tape because my cousins had it, and I was like, "This is just heavy blues, hard rock. There's nothing wrong with this." And then I realized my uncles had the albums, and then I explored a bit deeper and I thought, you know what? And then I read an interview where the record company came up with the upside down cross. And they would spend a lot of time in interviews saying, we're not satanic. We're basically just, we're delivering the bad news about war and poverty. And we're basically just the truth tellers, but in a tough way.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting that social conscience thing, wasn't it? That social conscience thing played into the, into the sort of thing of the times, war, protesting against war and as you say, Carl, famine and stuff. Yeah.
It's relevant today.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Sabbath was the biggest part of Ozzy Osbourne. That was what levitated his career. But I encourage everyone to go and listen to, say, No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne, that album in particular, and have a listen to the brilliance.
Great album.
It's an absolute cracker, and that's an album that I actually got into as it came out. So that album, I was just learning guitar. No More Tears came out, and I was just absolutely blindsided by the brilliance of Zach Wild. You know what I mean? I thought, wow, what the hell's this guy? He's incredible. But it made me want to go back and listen to earlier solo Ozzy stuff with Randy. It made me want to go back to that. And it obviously made me want to go back to listening to Sabbath, which is why I got into Ozzy in the first place. So, I mean, later albums with Sabbath that he did, like Never Say Die, that's one that we will be ranking at some point. But I never really gave that much of a chance because I was more up to about Volume 4 or Masters Reality Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. But then once you go past that, you can hear the band shift a little because the first albums were a hungry band, obviously, for success. But once they got there, I think they changed, and the dynamic changed when Ozzy left as well. Obviously when they brought Dio in, the whole band reinvigorated without him. But I guess his solo career, once he established that with Randy Rhoads and started that again, that took off. And you listen to those Randy Rhoads albums, and I don't think that they could have ever been Black Sabbath songs. There's no chance, just because of the direction changed for Ozzy, changed a lot. And I think, it was always about change. I think throughout his career, I mean, by the time you got to Osmosis, that album in particular became a little bit heavier. There was a lot of darker sort of themes eliminated from his career after the first few albums. I mean, he had a lot of trauma. I mean, think about losing Randy Rhoads in the way that he did, with the plane crashing into the tour bus. I mean, that would be something that you would find hard to move on from, really. But he picked up the pieces immediately and got on with it like a soldier. And he got a lot of criticism at times for that, but also got a lot of pats on the back, like, oh, that's what Randy would want you to do. And you could imagine, I think it was Brad Gillis, was it, that took over from Randy? I can't, my brain's not working.
Brad.
I think it was, I think it was,
You could imagine the shoes, having to fill Randy's shoes like at short notice as well, walking on stage. And there's stories, from Brad Gillis saying that Randy's pedals were turning on and off in parts of songs where they needed to go, because he was using all Randy's gear, I think, at that point, but his own guitars. But I think what I'm getting at is he had a I keep talking about him in the present tense. It's hard to get used to talking about him as a past tense, but I think Ozzy was always trying to move forward in his career, and he was always going to do it right up until the end. He was never going to fade away. He was going to always be there for his fans.
Yeah, and he's also one of these guys too, and we see it a lot in, these rock bands. They like being around young players, besides, given that payback mentality that a lot of them have, because they came from working class backgrounds, so they want to give breaks. They know how important a break is, Simon, and getting a break in music. And if you can get a young guy or a drummer or a bass player onto your band, if you're an established artist, you're doing a break, you're giving someone a break. But more importantly, because these people are in a creative environment, having new ideas, Brad and Simon and Carl's really important. If you've got a hot young guitar player and you've been on the stage for 30 years, you're going to be saying to the guy sitting back when you're having a cup of tea or an Earl Grey with lime and honey, Simon, what are you listening to? And we know that that's the conversations that they have, because they talk about that. They say, and the guy will pull out a guitar and play something, that Van Halen's doing on the '86 album, and he'll go, "Wow, let's do a lick like that on my solo album now."
Yeah. Well, it was a good thing that they went their separate ways, because Ozzy had an inkling to do something or express himself, and Tony Iommi it was his band. Everything was based around his riffs, and he would often get writer's block. And it was a very unusual, strange stage setup where Iommi was in the middle, and Ozzy would sing on the far right hand side.
I know.
Bizarre. Yeah, I've got the Hammersmith Odeon concert at home, and that was the last tour, and you could clearly see Tony in the middle. But getting back to
can I just quickly interrupt? When Ronnie James Dio joined the band, he said, "I'm not fucking standing on the side. I'm standing smack in the center." All right.
Yeah. Well, it was the best thing that happened, because you've mentioned this before, Andrew. Heaven and Hell. Ronnie Dio was a great inclusion to the band,
100%.
and Ozzy went off and did his thing with Randy, and he got to do his power ballads and his rock and roll, and everyone flourished. And every 5 or 6 years, they reunited and did an Ozfest or a Black Sabbath reunion. But a sort of an underground album was that Born Again with Ian Gillan.
Yes.
Gillan.
Where Bill Ward came back reluctantly, and he realised, this ain't working, I miss Ozzy. So that was the effect that Ozzy had with Bill and Geezer, was they really missed their mate.
The tour with Ian Gillan, Carl, is where Spinal Tap got the idea for Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Because apparently, well, the famous story is that Gillan turns up and they rehearse and it's all fine. And he said, we get to the first gig. And he said, I go out and the stage is up to my neck in dry ice. He said, and I've got a book with the lyrics in. So
he's flicking the pages with his feet.
Yeah, that's right. But he said I had to sing the line, then disappear into the cloud, then read the next two lines, come up, sing them, and go back down. And he said, and then I turn round. He said, there's this dwarf on top of their Stonehenge replica going screaming on top of his stuff.
that was disaster, that tour, because Ian Gillan signed the contract without remembering, and they blew up his boat.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh dear.
Just one point quickly. Well, I remember this is before the internet, Carl, and you'll remember this. Cookie told me this. When Heaven and Hell, when they released that album, the sales of Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath albums boomed, because people were buying obviously the latest Black Sabbath album, Brad, but they were also going back and buying the, so it was a win-win for everybody, Carl.
Yeah, a rebirth for both. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, because Ronnie Dio, he wasn't going to join because he didn't want to leave his buddies behind, all the elves, but he reluctantly did, and everybody won. And like Brad was saying, Ozzy was a platform for young guitarists and bass players and all sorts.
Drummers, yeah.
And the fact that Ozzy moved to America, which helped him as well.
I saw Ozzy back in Melbourne in 2008 with Zakk Wylde on guitar. Wow. And it was an incredible concert. Zakk was notably quite angry the whole gig because I think he was having marital problems at that particular time. And I think his wife had just left him, even though he's back together with her now. He's still with her. I think at that time he had quite a few dramas, and he threw his guitar out into the crowd, and then he wanted it back and the crowd weren't giving it back. He was notably the whole gig very aggressive and very angry, and Ozzy was a little bit you could tell I won't say maybe slightly annoyed, not pissed off, and not directing like anything towards Zakk, but I could tell he was slightly irritated by Zack's antics on stage, because you could tell Zakk was quite upset that gig. Maybe that particular time Zakk had just found out what was happening with his wife or something. I don't know.
There's only room on the stage for one madman.
Yeah. And, but I will say this, I saw Black Sabbath in 2013, and they opened with War Pigs. It wasn't with Bill Ward on drums. It was with Tom.
They had an Aussie drummer for a while, didn't they, Brad?
Yeah, Tommy Kaludis. I've forgotten his name. I apologise to anyone who's a fan of Tommy, the drummer. I can't remember his surname, but he was playing drums. But it was an incredible gig, and Ozzy was not a solo artist at all in that lineup. He was part of Black Sabbath. It was an incredible
super gig.
Yeah, well, I mean, Iommi and Geezer Butler, they held their own. I mean, what I'm getting at is it was just an incredible sound. It was massive. And
I really regret, I went to Ozfest in 2001 in San Antonio, and I was with three girls, and it was well, I was so preoccupied they were acting up, and I couldn't enjoy the concert. So, but I've heard from so many people that Black Sabbath, even up till the last few years, have sounded amazing on stage.
Well, I remember they did War Pigs into the Void, and I just I got absorbed into it. I felt like I was back in early 70s. It just felt like that, and everyone in the crowd, you could smell marijuana in the air. And as soon as they started Sweet Leaf, I mean, that was it. Everyone sparked up a doobie, and it was a incredible night. I mean, they
Well, the
played some
hits,
of the
unsung heroes is Geezer Butler with his lyrics and Bill Ward with his jazz drumming. I mean, it's just a perfect foursome.
I mean, but the overall thing was they were promoting a new album with I think it was 13 that they did with the drummer from Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave. But that was disappointing for me. That was the only thing disappointing, that it wasn't Bill Ward on drums. I will say that, but I mean, there's rumors between the two things. I don't know what's right or wrong, that there was contractual issues, and that would have been something to do with the contract that maybe Sharon and Ozzy put forward.
Bill had a hard time with the booze. He really wanted to be sober, but he liked drinking, and it was just a bit tough for him too.
I think his health wasn't up to scratch either. I mean, you think about a tour that they did,
same with
their
John
drummer, and their tour would have been pretty full on for the four older guys. The way they backed the gigs up fairly close together. There wasn't many days between each gig. It was fairly close, like a day back to back, then a day off, a day back. So that's a lot on older guys. I will say that. I mean, even on young guys, it's a lot to expect them to rock up every night and perform. Travel, and I mean, traveling is not what everybody seems to think. It's fun. Everyone thinks that, like I do a lot of interstate gigs with the 80s band I'm in, and everyone thinks it's fun. It's actually hard work. You're up early, you're getting to airports, 2 hours of waiting around, then you fly, then you got to load, you lug and load all your carry-on equipment and your instruments, usually backline hire, and you're going back and forth, a lot of waiting around, a lot of lugging, a lot of rehearsing, a lot of sound checking, a lot of the fun parts, the stage part. That's what keeps you getting back up. The rest of it's hard work, and as you get older, it actually becomes harder. So you can imagine whether Bill was up to it or not, I'm not sure, but if it was quite a strenuous tour, which was
you've got a contract with the record company, and it's say 5 albums, you've done 3 or 4. Like that's what happened to John Bonham. He loved his family, hated the road. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Just Brad, the drummer's name is Tommy Clufetos.
Clufetos, yeah, okay.
Clufetos, but he actually wasn't Australian. He's an American session drummer.
No. I knew that. No, but this is when they were in Australia. They brought him over, not Bill Ward.
That's right. Yeah, sorry. I think Carl maybe said he was Australian. No, he was an American session musician. But just looking, guys, just looking to see who else played drums with Black Sabbath: Vinny Appice, Bev Bevan, and one Terry Chimes. I don't know if that name means anything to you. Tory Crimes. He was the original drummer in The Clash.
Oh, wow.
Now, I have to say, that's a leap from The Clash to Black Sabbath. It's like that is quite a leap, but apparently
I've got a fun fact. I sent Andrew a clip of my old roommate who's an Aussie nut. When he was 10 years old, he asked his parents if he could go to the 78 tour, and they said, probably not a good idea. So he had to wait till he was 16, and he caught the sweat towel on the 84 tour. But my friend had a roommate that auditioned.
Fine.
What's that?
He'd have been fine.
Yeah. My friend from Texas had a roommate who auditioned for Ozzy Osbourne. Almost got the gig and then fell into a deep depression because Ozzy was so upset because it's 250 guys and they just plucked a cassette out of a box and it happened to be Zakk Wylde, and it was all meant to be. But there was a lot of broken-hearted guitarists.
Oh yeah,
that was the big gig, to be Ozzy's guitar player in America.
Yeah, there's a number of amazing guitarists that have spawned from Ozzy. That whole thing for Zakk, that would have been a dream come true for him as well. You could imagine
he was a Randy Rhoads disciple. Yeah,
exactly. And then obviously, listening to Zakk Wylde talk about Ozzy, post being his guitarist for decades and whatnot, and then not being his guitarist, and then being his guitarist again. And Zach was always going to be the long-standing guitarist for Ozzy, I believe, because I think
played with him for 3 decades.
Yeah,
30 years.
And Ozzy
Wow.
was the godfather of one of Zach's children. So that says a lot. And he used to talk about Oz and Sharon as being mum and dad. So he used to call them mum and dad, because they were that, you know, they were that sort of figure for him. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there was a period there where I think Oz would say to Zach, "I don't want to sound like the lead singer of Black Label Society," and he parted ways with him for a little bit. But obviously, Zach always came back. One of an amazing show which I just watched a little bit of the other day was Life at Budokan. That was quite an incredible DVD set that came out with that. So if anyone hasn't seen that, go check that out. It's a pretty incredible performance by Oz and Zach and the band. Zach's on fire.
Yeah.
You know, he's just incredible on that.
It's crazy how he changed from this fresh-faced kid to this Viking-looking guy overnight. It's just he's a warrior, and Zach's a survivor. He's an ex drinker who's sober now, and he's laying it down with Pantera. So
yeah,
soldiering on, all of them.
Yeah, I think it was you know, it was always going to be a tough gig for any guitarist to work with Oz, because you have to cover stuff from Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, which we all know Randy was quite an incredible guitar player. But you've also got like stuff with Bark at the Moon, Ultimate Sin, those records as well, for Zach to come in and cover that stuff as well, which would have been extremely hard. I mean, I don't know if anyone's actually had a good listen to the album Bark at the Moon. It's quite a great album, but it's overlooked a lot because it's shadowed. Let's say it's hidden a little bit behind the success of the Randy Rhoads records. But Jakey Lee was an incredible guitar player as well, who recently got shot a few times, didn't he? About a year ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It's Devin.
There was an Australian guy, I've forgotten his name, Brad, that was behind the scenes, was a bass player and wrote all the songs. Is that right?
Do you mean Bob Daisley?
Bob Daisley.
That's it.
I'm not sure he wrote everything, but he did write and collaborate a lot. I think it had a lot to do with his solo career as well. But he was definitely part of the creative process. Yeah, Joe Holmes, Devin, is that how I pronounce your name, Devin? Joe Holmes was an incredible guitarist, and I still listen to his Pharmacus record regularly. It's very heavy, very Aussie, very Sabbath, but a tad heavier. It's fantastic. So yeah, I always thought Joe Holmes copped the raw end of the deal there. I think he had a short stint with Ozzy. He should have had a longer stint. But yeah.
Well, behind the scenes, Sharon was pretty tough, apparently, and I read quite a few comments that the Australian guy, who was a bit of an arranger, didn't get his fair due. But that's another story in itself. But
about Ozzy was Ozzy Osbourne, so that was the brand. It wasn't like a band anymore. It was Ozzy's band. So he just wanted fresh face sometimes to, I guess, from a lack of better ways of putting it, who was available, who's going to do the best job at this present point in time. You know, he did mention about guitar players that were, you know, he loved bringing in someone who was hungry, you know, like wanted to prove himself, because it gave him a bit of an edge. He felt it gave himself a bit of an edge. So for him to bring in someone new, like when he brought Zach in, Joe Holmes, Jakey Lee, when he brought them in, he was like, oh, these guys are, you know, they're hungry to prove themselves. So yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, that his influence, considering that I understand he didn't really write his own lyrics. Yeah, that's why he had collaborators, you know, to sort of help him. And he would, you know, sing, he would kind of sing meaningless stuff, and then they would shape up the lyrics from the sounds he made and things. That, which is a sort of classic kind of 60s thing, isn't it? You sing anything, like you've seen Paul McCartney do it. You sing anything to start with, and then gradually the lyrics take shape, and it's amazing to think that that's how he worked with Geezer Butler first, and then Bob Daisley, Zakk Wylde. They really wrote the lyrics, but he could, his contribution shaping the mood and being able to tell when something fits him and when something doesn't is really interesting.
He did that with Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead.
Lemmy,
Motorhead, he did that as well. Gave him melodies and whatnot, and helped him write songs like "Mama, I'm Coming Home" and stuff off "No More Tears." So that's why I was saying that's an incredible album. If you haven't, I listened to that yesterday again for the first time in a while, and I was like, wow, this is quite an incredible album. And Motorhead's Lemmy wrote lyrics for about 6 or 7 songs on that particular record. Bob Daisley was a collaborator on that as well. But that was another rebirth for him. I think when Zakk Wylde joined the band, No Rest for the Wicked. Then when No More Tears came out, it became pretty full on again. Like for Zakk, it relaunched his solo career, took it to another level.
It's good to have Carl back on the show, isn't it? Banging and singing. And what are you doing?
I'm running out of juice, guys. I might have to go soon.
Oh, really? That's never happened before.
What's that?
That's what you said to your first girlfriend.
I don't have that much jam. Some girls, 78 tour, Mick Jagger.
That's right, brother. You got it.
Hey, but we've got a horse to thank for Ozzy giving up drugs. Did you hear that story?
No.
Tell us.
Go on.
Tell us.
Okay, this is a true story. So most people drop 1 tab of acid. He dropped 10 tabs of acid on a tour. Went out in the country and spoke to a horse for 4 hours. He didn't understand what the horse was saying, and the horse said, F off. And after that, he gave up drugs.
Yes.
Mr. Ed, the talking horse, yes.
Yes.
He realised he had a problem when a horse told him in English to F-U-C-K off.
Yes.
But you've seen that clip. You've seen that clip where he's cooking bacon in the kitchen with the orange juice.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Describe it for people who haven't. Come on.
Oh, he just said something about that they all outgrew the drugs, and the drummer went to rehab 3-4 times, and then Ozzy went to rehab, and he thought that when he was going to rehab that he could drink cocktail drinks. So he arrived at the Betty Ford clinic. He arrived at the Betty Ford clinic in a suit, thinking they're going to serve him cocktails. But
awesome.
It was quite funny because they edited a piece of footage where he was pouring a glass of orange juice and spilt it, and the reporter goes, "So your home life's a lot more stable now?" And he goes, "It isn't." It was just classic humor.
Sounds like Carl. He sounds like my mum, who once memorably said to me, she said, "Do you want a drink?" She said, "Apple juice, orange juice, a soft drink." She said, "Do you want a soft drink? Apple juice, orange juice, beer?" It's like, since when has beer been a soft drink, Mum?
Shandy, they call it. They call it shandy in this country.
Not sure the local constabulary are going to take your side in this.
Carl, we're going to wind it up anyway, mate. So we've been on here for an hour. So
okay, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm just running out of juice. My phone's playing up. My sister sent me a link of my nephew playing a futsal game, and it just drained all my juice.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's
Otago's playing Auckland. It's a regional championship.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to have you jump on and hang out with us. Because,
lovely to see you. Blimey.
As people would have realised that Carl is an Ozzy and a Black Sabbath fan. Before I hand it over to
the
the guys to do a quick little end comment, I just want to say g'day to Dave from Wednesday Store. Good to see you, bro. Been a long time no see.
Oh, Dave,
and also,
how you
Miami
doing?
Pool Boy 69. Good to see you. And also, Devin, thanks for your great comments too. Thanks. Don't forget, guys, to subscribe to our channel if you want to be part and parcel of any of our future shows. Make sure you get that notification. And I want to remind you that we do subscribe back to your channel if you're building your channel. I promise.
Yeah. Miami Pool Boy 69, sleep well. Hopefully we could send you off to the land of Nod.
Yeah.
Pool Boy.
Yeah. Great.
So look, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys, talking about Ozzy. And one of the great things I think that Ozzy would have liked is, that we've relished his music over the years, Simon and Brad and Carl, and we've had a few laughs. And I'm sure he'd be happy with that. And from 4 fans on this part of the YouTube universe, we just want to say rest in peace, Ozzy. And
see you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Yeah, Brad.
Yeah, just that sentiment is pretty good. I'll leave it at that. Other than God bless Ozzy Osbourne, Simon.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. I'm going to say, he helped invent heavy metal with Black Sabbath. Those with their down-tuned guitars, the doom-laden lyrics, the occult and the horror imagery, all that. That's and he was also the blueprint for the metal frontman as well. Really, nobody else did what he did with his theatrical stage presence, wildly unpredictable behavior, but
dancing out of time,
jumping up and down. Instead of just jumping up and down, it's just leaping up in the air. It's like tremendous. But the real thing about him was that he was always Ozzy Osbourne. He was always that bloke from Birmingham. And as I said earlier, you could take the bloke out of Birmingham, but you couldn't take Birmingham out of the bloke. And I think that being a real person and not really being swayed by show business or any glamour, glitz, whatever, as you said, Brad, I was kind of Bubbles, I'm the Prince of effing darkness, and you can just tell it's it's like somebody that would just say it, and I think that, for me, he's, being a reality star, but, being a real person in the midst of all that, stuff still, and just doing what he did, makes him a special person. So, R.I.P. Ozzy, we miss you, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. He was Ozzy was unconventionally honest, and what I like about all those British bands is they're very humble, and that's something you can't take away. I mean, I had some friends in America, and they couldn't believe that their idols, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, would sit down, have a cup of tea, and say, "Well, we did this thing, and we really hope you like our record." My friends were like, "Are you kidding me? You guys are Black Sabbath. You guys are Led Zeppelin." So it's just amazing how humble they are, and how their music is immortal. They'll never die.
Yeah.
No.
Never die. Never say die.
Never die.
Never say die.
So rest in peace, Michael Madston, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy, Chuck Mangione, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
It's been a tough week.
Yeah. Weird. That's true. Yeah. Chuck
Hulk
Mangione,
Hogan.
Yeah. Yep.
We out of here?
Yeah.
I think we should.
Hey, good to catch up with you guys. Sorry about my technical issues.
No problem.
Yeah, really good. Yeah,
it's been a pleasure. It's our pleasure, brother. Our pleasure.
We'll be back next week for more Ranking the Tracks.
Yeah.
The Doors Soft Parade, I do believe.
Yeah.
So
rock on.
Join us for that. Join us for that, kids.
See you guys.
Take care. Take care, all in the chat. Take care, everyone in the chat. Ellen, John, Miami Pool Boy, 51 Mac Dog, Wednesday Store. Dave, nice to see you, man. I haven't seen you for ages. That's fun. Devin as well. Lots of great comments from you, Devin. Tony Bowen as well. Thank you very much. Team Mission RD100 as well. Gret Zeppelin. Fantastic to see you too as well. Gone back to his proper name. Johnny Heartbreaker. Helene is here as well. Yeah, fair enough, Helene. I understand that, your sentiment. Completely knocked at 8. Ellen, of course. Yeah, I think Johnny Heartbreaker. I think that's everybody. Hopefully I got everybody. It's great to see you all, and thanks for your great comments and stuff. Yeah, cool. Take care, and we'll see you next week.